Hello, folks, and welcome to Tippcast with myself, Shane Stapleton, joined as ever by the head of sport in the Nenagh and Shane Brophy. Shane, the busy weeks continue, and I suppose top of the list this weekend, there's lots to talk about, but top of the list has to be Tipperary taking on the 4-in-a-row All-Ireland champions Limerick.
Yeah.
It's been moved to Cork. In a way, I couldn't help but think that's a bit of a shame. You'd like to take them on in the belly of the beast, let lads get used to taking them on in Limerick, because you know you're going to have to go there eventually.
Yeah, but yeah, so we're going there on the 28th of April, so yeah, it would have been ideal. But I suppose just another I suppose consequence of the bad winter and spring we've had, that whatever pitch works they had been doing at the Gaelic grounds just haven't had the chance to probably bed in fully. Like, they haven't played any league games there yet. That they moved the Antrim game to Thurles in round one, and so obviously it's just not ready. And just going on the wording of what Tipperary County Board said last weekend, that Thurles wasn't payable, so it looks like Thurles was offered it as the alternative venue, but obviously that's not in a fit state either. So I suppose with TV coverage, it meant options are limited. You would think if it was a day-like game, Ennis would have been probably more logical. But I suppose after that with floodlights, your options are reduced. And it should be interesting to see what sort of crowd goes down. It's up against England and Ireland at 4:45. Like, well, a lot of people decide, I'll stay at home, maybe watch both on the telly as well. So you're probably hoping to get maybe 10 or 15,000 in Limerick. Will you get 5 on Saturday night in Cork? Probably you'll be doing well to get that.
And I suppose we were always kind of building this up as a game, down the line, that, okay, we'll see closer to the full strength teams. There'll be an element of shadow boxing. There always is with these games. You don't have the full 15s on both sides. But do you get the sense now that Tipperary will put out a strong team here?
I know what you think. I think they have. I think they have to, because just on the chance that they don't qualify for league semi-final, this could be their last big hit out. Like, no disrespect to they have Antrim to finish on the following Saturday, but that's a game that's going to take care of itself, whether Tip may win it or have difficulty winning it. But like, if Tip lose on Saturday night and Galway come around and beat Limerick the following weekend, Tip are probably going to miss out on score difference, because Limerick and Galway have a nice lead. Like, Tip would probably have to beat Antrim by 30 points even to get close to what the other two teams have, and that's probably unlikely, because Tip don't tend to hammer teams. So like, you're probably looking at the fact that Tip will have to probably try and get something out of Farkey on Saturday night, and at minimum a draw. Like, a draw would probably be good enough to qualify. So, but I think on the worst case scenario, that it's Tip's last big hit out before they play Limerick in the first round of or their first game of the championship. I think he has no choice but to go as strong as he can.
Yeah, and then you've probably got different teams that are planning trips away. Like, I've heard talk of Limerick going away at the end of this month. So, being in the latter stages of the league, I don't know if that would actually be all that convenient for them. So in some ways, right, we'll obviously go out to win this match, but maybe we won't put out our very strongest team. It'll be interesting to see the attitude of the two managers based on the 15s they pick.
Like, I suppose we're probably seeing it in terms of, like, Limerick have been gradually getting stronger. You probably we haven't seen Gillane yet. We haven't seen. Okay, look, Sean Finn is coming back from injury. I believe he's close enough. Who else? Declan Hannon. Probably haven't seen him yet. But like, they're getting closer and closer. Like, what was it, 10 that started against Dublin? Of the likely 15, and sure, then you have a lot of guys that O'Dowlig and English and Cathal O'Neill who would start and most other teams. So like, they're not going to be weak by any Lynch. Keane Lynch's River Power says. So like, I suppose there's probably a greater need probably for Tip to go strong, and I suppose we will get and in my preview, we'll probably get a fair indication of what way the management are looking at, maybe their first 15 by what they pick when it's announced later this week.
Has any team had a quieter start to a season than Limerick, in the sense of they're All-Ireland champions, going 5 in a row. They've had no game that's been televised yet. They've had a lot of games that have gone under the radar. Could John Kiley have planned it better up to now?
Oh, sure, look, isn't it for a 5 in a row challenge? Isn't it mad? Like in some ways, they're effectively only starting their league this weekend. As I say, it's their first live TV game, and they're all Ireland going for 5 in a row. Like they're so, you can't say they're coming in under the radar, but they're coming in very, very quiet. And who's to say they won't come out next Saturday night and throw in a performance that says, "Look, we're still here. We're not. We haven't gone away." So, but look, I'd be surprised if Liam Cahill is not challenging his players this week to say we're going after this. So we need, like, in fairness, Liam Sheedy did it in his time with Kilkenny against Kilkenny. Like every time he came up against them, he saw it as an opportunity to challenge them and look and learn things. Like, just say if Tip don't win on Saturday night, you want to be coming away learning, okay, what areas can we improve on for when we play them again in a few weeks' time? Is there avenues where maybe we can look to hurt them in a couple of weeks' time? So, look, the only area you'd probably be worried about is if you go strong and you suffer a heavy loss, and then the doubt, like, you're beginning to doubt yourself. Then, like, that's the only downside of going strong and you suffer a heavy loss. Like, I don't see it happening, but Limerick have the potential to do that to anyone. Like, so
they do, to be fair. But I don't think if Tipperary go out and give their A side, give their best sort of performance, that they would get hammered. They could lose the game for sure. But I think even like you will learn a lot in defeat. So isn't that a very common refrain that you learn more in defeat than in victory? So I mean, maybe they might try a couple of guys against Limerick who haven't played against them much before, but still go out all guns blazing to try and win the game. If you lose it, you lose it. But no matter what, when you go back to the drawing board next Monday morning or whatever it is, you'll at least be able to say, here's where we came up short. This type of player suits this position. This one doesn't. So I'd be happy to go, full ball headed for it and just take whatever comes and then use it as a learning experience if it doesn't go well.
Absolutely. Like you're looking at things all being well, like Jake Morris and Brian O'Mara should be available. I think their hamstrings against Galway, which is a month ago, there were only minor things they were taken off as a precaution. Cathal Barrett, we were told after Westmeath, was almost good to go. Would you throw him in from the start? It'd be risky now, but if maybe it's the perfect game to get him up and running, like maybe. Or do you hold him, maybe give him a half an hour and give him the full hour against Antrim the following weekend? Like, so, I suppose there's a few aspects for me. Like, I don't know. Look, we saw how good Rhys Shelley was against Limerick with his puck outs last year. Do they go at it again? Or if Barry Hogan starts it, are they still not sure about who their goalie is? Like, would they like to see Barry Hogan going up against that Limerick defensive strategy on the puck out and just seeing how he tries to negotiate with it with his puck outs? Like, so that'd be one. I think if we see Robert Byrne starts on Saturday, I'd say it looks like it'll be earmarked for number 6 for the championship. That's the way I'd be looking at it. So it'd be interesting to see if he starts again. And then probably the layout of the forward line. Willie Connors, Nolan McGrath, do you accommodate both of those players in that sort of central area? Who plays inside, maybe with Jake Morris? So it'd be interesting to see, all being men, what way that the management are looking. If we assume, go as close to full strength as they can.
Yeah, we've got a comment in here from River Power saying, Limerick have played things beautifully. They're even really moving the ball nicely for this time of year, smooth as silk for this time of the year. To be fair, they generally are. They're a team for all seasons. I remember even going back to league games, and God, it probably was 2020. I remember a league game down in the Gaelic grounds against Limerick. Galway, I should say. And the way they were moving the ball, short, stick passing through the lines on wintry enough turf, you're like, it doesn't matter what time of the year is, they can play it through the hands or they can go long. So, yeah, like, will we see Keane Lynch? Will we see Aaron Gillan? Will we see Declan Hannon? Obviously, everything is kept under wraps, so you don't know who's right and who's not. But, is there
in some ways, like, they didn't get challenged by Dublin. Like, they sort of, like, Crow Park's their second home. They were just too slick for them. Like, Dublin couldn't get close physically. But then, you were at that game, Dublin got an awful lot of goal chances in the game, maybe. You would think if Tip got those opportunities that they put more of them away.
Yeah, well, look, if Tipperary get goal chances, especially against a Limerick, you're going to have to say cool as ice, because you can't leave those chances behind you. Any hope you have of beating like a front-running team like Limerick is you need to take those chances to try and dent their confidence, to cause a little bit of panic in the back line. Even think about the Dublin 5-in-a-row team, or the team that, was a couple of years before that, necklacing together All-Ireland wins before the 5-in-a-row. And Kerry, the time they rumbled them. Remember that time, I think 2016 semi-final, they got 2 goals where they turned over the kickouts very quickly. Darren O'Sullivan scored one of them. You sort of need to take the opportunity when it comes up. And to be fair, like, Tip should have the guys who are able to convert those chances. But, just when you talked about Cathal Barrett earlier, we already know he's money in the bank in terms of, like, when he's fit and firing, you can play him against Limerick, and he's going to.
Oh, yeah. Like it's just that, I suppose we saw how. I suppose the worry is it was the Galway game last year where he was coming back off an injury and he was exposed. Like, do you take that risk again, or do you just give him more time, like, to be ready? Like, so.
Well, what I'm wondering is,
then look, a league game is less of a risk, even if he struggles, but like you're still getting game time into him. So like, I suppose it's not like a championship game where you like. It was probably the first time I saw him really, really struggle in championship level last year. Where, like, he was coming off, was it an ankle problem he had, or a head? Something, he got a knock against Limerick in that round 3 game.
What I'm wondering is, like, do you sort of just bring him on for 15 minutes here, play the full game against Antrim, more for the reason that, okay, in the past we thought, okay, maybe there wasn't too much cover at cornerback. Now you can throw in a couple of lads there cornerback, see how they get on. Like, try Breen fullback, and he could be in the same fullback line as Ronan Maher, and maybe Johnny Ryan or Danny Slattery if he's back available, or whoever. Just see what the options are like, because ultimately, if he's fully fit, bringing back in Cathal Barrett will be, you've got a key player there that's guaranteed starter if he's fully right.
There's an element there. Like, I suppose on the last few years, like, Tip have actually performed pretty well against Limerick every time they come up against them, haven't they? Like, they haven't won. Look, last year drew in the championship, very good game. Performed pretty well in the league semi-final last year in the Gaelic rounds. The year before, even in that was the poor Colin Bonneray, like, they were in that pot. They were ahead after an hour in the Gaelic rounds in the Munster Championship. Limerick just hit a couple of goals late on and pulled away. Probably 8 points was flattering, but like, Tip have generally played Limerick pretty well, but I suppose there's been those last 10-minute periods where the game is to be won that Limerick just seem to have that ice, that coolness, and know how to get over the line and get those wins. I suppose that's probably even the ill-fated 2021 Munster final. Like, people forget, like, how we destroyed them in the first half, like 10 points, but then they destroyed us even worse in the second. So when we're good against Limerick, we're pretty good. We're not killing them off. We're not sustaining it to the 75th minute, like, so.
So and it'll probably be unrealistic to think that we could dominate them for 70 minutes. But I suppose this is where the importance of the bench comes in now, and the panel has been built a nice bit over the course of the 18 months that Liam Cahill has been charged, or thereabouts 18 months. So do we feel like we might just see almost planned substitutions, 20 minutes to go, here come 5 lads, or maybe even earlier if we're to look at the 2021 Munster final? That probably should have happened after 40 minutes.
It'd be an interesting to see if they do that sort of. I know it's sort of a platoon system, isn't something that I think they say in America, where you nearly have you have your preordained maybe play or systems, and like, we do have an awful lot of, particularly on that middle third, we have an awful lot of flexibility there. Like, there's going to be good guys who probably won't start, but they'll come in, like, and like, we haven't gotten a definitive panel yet. I don't believe it's going to be. I've been told it won't be fully disclosed, but there's been a few leaks of maybe who hasn't been retained, and I think one of those I was surprised with was Enda Heffernan. Now, I would thought Enda Heffernan's build and stuff, and he's good, pretty tough defender. That I thought he was unlucky if that is the case, that he's been let go, but it probably shows you we probably have an awful lot of numbers in that half backline area where maybe he's just unfortunate that, like, you have Brian O'Mara, you have the Conor Bowe has gone back there, probably effectively taking a slot that used to be available You have Robert Byrne is back. You have Dan McCormack can play back there. Seamus Kennedy can play back there. You could even throw Alan Tynan maybe in his emergency halfback if you wanted as well, just because of the way he plays the game. So, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, if there's this element of maybe if the lads, surely we saw it last year with Tom Morrissey around the 55th minute in a lot of championship games. He was whipped off, and Cathal O'Neill was brought on. Even Limerick are utilising that strategy.
I wonder will we see Cathal O'Neill centre back against Tip?
Be an interesting one. I think it'll be a stiffer test for him than Dublin. What do you think yourself?
I suppose it depends on who's available. I mean, the other thing is,
it looks like David Reedy. Okay, we know Will O'Donoghue who can do a job down there. I think only David Reedy, I think, cried off before Dublin that he would have been looked at there. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe if Reedy is okay that they'd still throw Reedy in there again just to see how it goes.
Yeah, I reckon that they know that Will O'Donoghue is obviously somebody who can play that position, but they probably don't want to take his combativeness out of midfield, and he's so well versed in that position that they'd like to find somebody else to take the slot. And with Cathal O'Neill, obviously he hasn't nailed down a starting position in the forwards, and realistically, who are you going to drop in the forwards this year for him? But they do want him in the team. So if a slot opens up because Declan Hannon's injured or whatever, then at that stage you can see why. But he'd also need a couple more games there for them to feel like we can throw him in there in the championship. So it would make sense from that point of view. The other thing is Kyle Hayes. I would imagine they'll definitely start him again, knowing that because of the court case and the sentencing here and being put back, and also that they did it against Dublin. They put him in there. There was all the talk about it. It's kind of done at this stage. So I would imagine that the more times they do it, irrespective of what happens in the sentencing, it's just like, it was yesterday's conversation at this point. So they'll probably throw him in again.
I would think so. All right. I did hear. I'm trying to find. I was trying to find out whether it's confirmed that the changing of the venue could have an issue for Kyle, and I think he's under a curfew. And that getting from Cork to back wherever he's based, I'm not sure what the cutoff time is. That maybe there could be a helicopter put in place for him. I'm not sure, but he would be, if it was a normal home game, he'd be fine. But maybe Cork to wherever he lives could be an issue. But you would probably think they'll probably find a way to get him to play all right, because if you start him against Dublin, you're hoping to play him again. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's like an hour and a half from Páirc Uí Chaoimh to Kildimo, and the match starts at 7. It's down for 7:35, which means it'd be over at
after 9 o'clock.
It'd be over. Coming up to 9 o'clock, it's done, and then obviously you need a few minutes before you're hitting the road. So look, I mean,
I believe people say curfews or what, but I'd say anything that could, you don't want to. I suppose going back to the key, you don't want to do anything that could make the judge look unfavorably at you when there's a sentencing coming. So I would think that I wouldn't be surprised maybe if that curfew, I'm not sure whether it's 9:30, 10:30, 10:30 or whatever, whether it's it could potentially be something that the Limerick management have to take into account when they're picking the team.
Okay, it's an interesting point actually, and I suppose then what would you expect this weekend? Are you I'd expect Tipperary to go out and give everything possible, and it'd be a tight game, goes down to the last 5 minutes, and flip of a coin either way.
Yeah, I suppose we have a better chance of winning now. It's not in the Gaelic grounds. We have to agree. I think we can agree on that. That's Limerick's home ground. They probably would have had a huge vocal home support. Maybe that last 10 minutes, if the game was tight, they might pull them over the line. So Cork is a good field. So look, if you hand it, I think Tip have the ability to win. But if you offered me a draw now, I take it, because it'll mean we get to a league semi-final. So I think, and if Tip do win it, I think it'll be a massive confidence boost to everyone within the group heading into not even the rest of the league, but knowing going into that championship match in Limerick. And look, we know it'll be a different game, that knowing that you've been able to beat them. And I even remember going back to 2008 when Liam Sheedy's first year. You can't underestimate that league semi-final win in Kilkenny. I think we won 115 to 110. I think Tommy Fitzgerald or Larry Corber got a great goal, and Tommy Fitz of Rossgrave was full forward. Winning that game, like, that was, people might forget that game, but you broke the duck against them. Like, and okay, they walloped us maybe the following year in the league, but just getting that win, just getting that monkey off the back. I think, what was it, 2019 Munster Championship was the last time we beat Limerick in a competitive game. And even that, Limerick rested 4 players that day. So, yeah, so like, we played them a lot in league and championship, and I think we have 2 draws and 4 or 5 defeats in that time. So we could do it, getting some bit of a W against them.
Did we not beat them in the 2022 league? No, maybe not. I kind of have in my head that we.
Oh, I know it was the first match after COVID in 21. We drew with them.
Yeah.
Did we even play in the 2022 league when we were in separate divisions? I wonder.
Yeah, could have been.
I know the first game in 2020 before COVID, we remember we had the big lead at halftime in Central Stadium, and then they came back in the second half. Like, so.
Yeah, it would be good to get one over on them. The Tipperary underage panels have been named, so I'll just bring it up first here. The Tipperary under-20 hurling panel for the year. Any comments you'd like to make on it?
Yeah, I was just going through some of. I was trying to break down the panel. 2020s, yeah. There's 11 survivors from last year, so I suppose that's a decent chunk to keep over. And look, I know your brother Paddy is involved this year, so. Look, it's a big year for the 20s. Like, there's pressure on Brendan, and there was a fair bit of criticism among the supporters for our style of play last year, and even we got to a Munster semi-final, but I suppose the manner of the defeat to Clare left a lot of people pretty frustrated and maybe not playing more direct hurling. Like, okay, we have to get players comfortable playing the modern game, but I thought maybe we overdid it at times. So maybe could have played a more quick ball inside. So you have 11 survivors. Like, Darren McCarthy had a great year with Nenagh CBS, and just he's looked a bit tired, I thought, over the last few weeks. So hopefully over the next, now that they're finished, he might get a chance to freshen up. Like, you have 5 players there from Holy Cross. You have a lot of players off the 2022 minor team there now. Adam Daly, Owen Horgan, Joe Egan, Sam O'Farrell is a vice captain, and he's eligible again next year. So just shows you what to think of him. Ben Corvin of Golden is the captain. Paddy McCormack. That's a talented bunch. Like, they're like, I would think, and we know it's a very, very open Munster under-20 championship. Like, I don't think, like, Cork again will probably start out as favourites. You'll have a good Clare panel, probably a young Clare panel, maybe a lot of last year's maybe minor All-Ireland winning team, but like, they'll still be strong. But like, it's there's definitely talent there for Tip to finish in the top 3 and get to a Munster semi-final, which I would think is the minimum goal for the group this year.
Yeah, David Hogan says Gerard Dwyer is a great talented fullback, super talented, lauded it with UL freshers winning the All-Ireland. Lots of medals on that panel, says River Power. Also, what stood out to me is 28 different clubs. Yeah. So they really have searched far and wide.
What I have, and I just through all the under-20 panel was named, and my football, like the Salahead, Ballyhooby, Castlegrace, Feathered, like it's great to see all those clubs being Feathered. He's like the real smaller clubs, like, are continuing to get there, even though maybe some of them might only be Junior A, Junior B in terms of adult hurling. Like, you need those sort of players, and those clubs to keep bringing guys through. We just don't want to be relying on the traditional strong clubs, like, and give those clubs a reason to build around those youngsters, and maybe in time move up through the grades. If you're a Junior A club, get up to intermediate. If that's the highest level you get to, fine. But like, that you're proud of the players that those clubs produced.
And then the Tipperary minor hurling panel as well. We have it here.
Yeah, what was the total number again? Survivors from last year is
22 clubs anyway. Just before, as you're
10 survivors from last year. So They are captained by
Cathal O'Reilly.
Cathal O'Reilly of Holy Cross. Yeah, so like another look. I suppose last year's campaign was difficult. It got underway. It got underway slowly, but I suppose they probably found their form a bit too late and didn't get out of the group stage. But I suppose this year's championship is a bit more flexibility in that the top 4 teams go to an All-Ireland quarter-final. So, like, okay, you want to try and get to a Munster final and win it, but you don't want to be the 5th team and missing out. So, just notice that both Liam Cahill and Brendan Cummins will have busy summers. They both have sons on the minor panel, so not only be preparing their own squads that have to make time on. They'll have to keep certain evenings free to go and watch their sons play in the Munster Minor Championship as well. So, yeah, the apples don't fall far from the tree, do they?
No, they don't. As we're talking about the youngsters in Tipperary, we should go on to Nenagh CBS. And geez, it was a frustrating one for them for a finish. Never really got out of the starting blocks in terms of the performance, I would have said. I mean, they were obviously very close, and there was that goal chance towards the end that would have secured the victory. But ultimately, you'd also have to say that St. Raphael's were excellent, and they never stopped, and their ability to turn over the Nenagh puck out, to be fair to them, and drive upfield and get their score, you'd have to just credit them more so than anything else.
Yeah, and I was doing the player ratings for the game, and I said, how the hell did Nenagh only lose by, like, all the most of the best individual performances in the match were from St. Raphael's, yet they were the team that needed 3 points in injury time to win the game. So it just shows, and I think it says an awful lot for how Nenagh maximized everything out of themselves. Like, and look, I thought they were so unfortunate at the weekend because they were, like, I think I said it at half time when I was on Tip FM, like, it was 3-8 to 1-8, but it was probably a false scoreline in that Loch Bray had done most of the hurling against the wind. They had worked the ball up the field pretty well, like, and you could see the Francis Ford handprint all over that team, like the former Galway coach. I'm not sure, is he with Dublin or was with Dublin?
He's with Dublin.
Like, you could see a real inter-county coach's hand in their team, like, and in terms of, like, they never once hit an aimless ball up the field. They are always comfortable, but yet, in fairness to Nenagh, they took their chances when they got close to goal in the first half. 3 goals, maybe there was a sniff of a fourth if a final pass had gone to hand, and like, then midway through the second half, the draw match, you're thinking, like, Nenagh are in real trouble here. They were struggling to get scores, but I thought for the last quarter before injury time, I thought Nenagh looked like the fitter team. I said they're after finding way more energy here, but they left scoring chances behind them, maybe easy points that were on, maybe trying to force maybe another goal and things like that. And then you had that great goal chance for Darren McCarthy. If he got it, brilliant save by the keeper. If that had gone in, that would have been it. And then you had the 6 minutes injury time. And then when the 6 minutes are up, Nenagh are still 2 points up, and the ref adds more time. Calls an awful foul against Owen Dahan. I don't know if you saw it. Like, he was manhandled.
Yeah.
There was never a chance. Like, how he didn't give a free in there. Penalise them for over carrying. They go down and get a point, and you just felt the momentum going. If they win the next puck out, he'll give him a chance to equalise. He did. You were sort of praying for him to blow the whistle, get it extra time. As Nenagh were hanging on, and he plays on, and like Cullen Killeen gets one of those dream scores to win a match, catches a high ball, running away towards the sideline, and just hits it. And I was right behind it. It would never going anywhere over the point, and that was it. Like, just fair play to her. Like, you couldn't say Loughrea didn't deserve to win, but just the manner of it was hugely frustrating for Nenagh. I know they were very frustrated with the referee afterwards. It's the same ref that did the Munster semi against Charleville. So I would have thought sometimes being familiar with a referee mightn't help you. And I thought one of the posters there that Darren McCarthy came in for a bit of treatment. There's no doubt he did. He was man marked, and I would have thought he was being picked on, and maybe a couple of times he was his marker fell to the ground, maybe exaggerating some contact, even though your man, the
I
player.
thought that was the team from the start. One of
Yeah.
the cornerbacks in particular from Rayfields was going down. Augusta Wynn came and he was looking to hit
Yeah.
the floor. I thought that was
Yeah, look, they were
that
well
wasn't
trained, but
coincidental.
they were well versed in dark arts. Like Joe O'Dwyer came on in the second half. Came on like he lively corner forward and got him. Well, I don't know. I assume like when you're a player coming on, generally you don't want to get involved with a defender. Something happened, and it was Joe Dwyer got a yellow, but the Galacray man didn't get anything. So like that sort of things where generally it's always the waiting defender for that comes in that meets the sub coming in, that he's generally the instigator, but there's always the sub that comes in that generally gets booked because he's.
So, I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but some of the key men, the big players for Nenagh, didn't really have their best days. It didn't help either that Austin Duff, who had just won a great ball, had to go off injured also because he was making stuff happen. So
I say like Darren McCarthy did well, but he didn't dominate the game as they would have hoped. Kieran Foley was solid. Mason Cawley wasn't as dominant as he was in the semi or the Kilkenny CBS game. Half back line, like Paddy McCarthy gets centre forward for Rayfields, 8 points to play. It was outstanding. Like they're just Nenagh needed a few more dominant individual displays. Would have been enough to get them over the line. Owen Dohan was quiet-ish. I thought Aidan O'Connor corner forward was really good. Took his couple of goals really well. Look, the subs that came on did well. Brian O'Mara before the red card. Dara Tracy did well when he came on. So look, just I suppose I think that's the one frustrating aspect for Nenagh, that they were narrowly beaten, and they'll admit they just never hit the heights of maybe the Hartley final or Kilkenny CBS game, and you'd probably say Loughrea on the trend of the game probably should have won by a lot more, but I think it's to Nenagh's credit that the game was in the melting pot right to the finish, and it's just a pity that even if they got to the final, it would look to have gotten to the whole way to Crow Park would have been a great way to finish the year, even if they would have come up short, but not to be. And look, I thought it was a cracking atmosphere in Tulla on Saturday, like fabulous lit facility there in Dr. Daly Park, like lovely stand and big crowd. And I was saying it to Sean Walsh of Galway BFM coming away, like it's great to see old like that. It's raw old school hurling that's like they're not fully versed in the modern game yet. Like, and you can really get gripped in those sort of contests now. So you can.
Yeah, I suppose Darren McCarthy is used to being double marked already, and this sort of thing is probably what he'll have to be used to.
Yeah.
But he definitely does seem like he has the quality where he'll be able to kick on and have much bigger days.
Yeah. Like I know there's a couple of times maybe in the first half where I thought he just looked a little sluggish. Maybe the fact that he's been in with Tip and he's a lot of things to try and cope with. Maybe it's come against him maybe in the last few weeks, and maybe a bit of a break. Well, he'll still be training, but probably won't be playing as much game time over the next while. He might be able to get his energy back, because I think the under-20 hurlers are not out till I think the 12th of April, so he'll have a chance there. And look, who's not to say that if we don't see him Saturday night for Tip, you wouldn't be surprised if he plays some of the Antrim game the following weekend, if they feel that they want to give him some game time at this level.
Yeah, geez, that'd be some step up, wouldn't it? Going from a school game to a senior inter-county game, to physicality even. We should talk then about the Tipperary footballers. I suppose I was defending them almost on Monday because you've such a player turnover, but the headline that everyone else will see is you're up against probably the bottom team in the country, and Tipperary you're only getting a draw. Like, what's the mood around the place with Paul Kelly?
Look, I still think Paul Kelly will still get a lot of leeway. And look, he does. Look, he came in late as a manager. He's still finding his feet. He's trying to blood a new squad. He's still down Conor Sweeney. He's down Stephen O'Brien. Key leaders in Division 4 are massive. Like, where you could turn maybe those narrow draws, as you say, into London and Waterford into wins. And you could probably, I think it's that lack of experience that's haunting us. Like, you go to the last 3 matches, we were ahead against London, didn't hold on. We were ahead against Laois, didn't hold on. We were ahead against Waterford, didn't hold on. We're either we're not capable of, well, we don't have the experience to see out games. Like, we're seemingly sitting back and inviting teams onto us instead of maybe going on and winning by 3 or 4. Like, and I think that's probably where we're falling short. And look, we've been competitive, but the results haven't followed. Like, look, on the face of it, it's not a good look. I think Waterford are the lowest ranked team in the country. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I've been saying, like, you go back to last year, Tip bet them in the Munster Championship by only 4 points. In the Tailteann Cup, they only beat them by 2 or 3. So we were never going to go out and destroy them. And whatever it is, doesn't matter how poor a Waterford team is, they will always believe they can beat Tipperary in football. And look, they showed it again last weekend. They got a draw, but it would have felt like a win for them. And look, for long stages of that game, they played the better football, and particularly in the first half. And I think the notable feature for Waterford was their long range kicking, and it looks like something that they were definitely said, okay, if we're going to score, maybe their new manager might decided, lads, we get a scoring opportunity long range, we're going to have a go, because maybe we don't have the skill set to try and get in close to goal. And look, if it goes wide, we'll try and press up under kick out, and maybe try and, like, maybe I'd be interested to see if more managers don't go that way. Like, if you do get scoring opportunities at a decent rate, like we're always hearing about, how do you break the blanket defence? I think the best way is probably if you got your players to become more adept at kicking long range scores, teams would have to draw themselves out a small bit more.
Mm-hmm. And just in terms of, like, the rest of the campaign, is the mood right? I mean, are people just being realistic around the panel?
Like, I think I said it on at the start of the year before I didn't think Tip would be in the promotion hunt. I just didn't think it was feasible, and with the turnover of players, and that it was realistic. Yet, we have 4 points. We've a win and 2 draws, and our 2 defeats are by 1 point and 2 points. So we've been very, very competitive. Like, promotion is not quite gone. Like, Tip, you look at what Laois are up. There's 4 teams on 6 points, and Tip are 2 behind on 4. Like, if Tip beat Wexford the next day, which at the home game could happen, that gets them to 6. I think there's a couple of teams playing each other in and around that circle. Like, and then if Tip's last game is against Laois, if Tip win their last 2 games, they get to 8 points. And if Longford finish on 8, we have them on a head-to-head. So it's unlikely, but I just think there's a sequence of games there where results could fall Tip's way if they do get the 2 wins. Like, and it'll be difficult, but look, you'd like to finish the league with some bit of momentum. Like, you don't want to lose the last 2 games, and then you're going into the championship at an awful low. You're going to Dungarvan in a Munster quarter final, and Waterford will be looking forward to that one, thinking, God, not only can we be competitive against Tip in the Munster quarter final, we've shown that we can probably beat them.
Yeah, and as we showed there on the GAA league tables there, it is pretty tight, so you just don't know what will happen. Just in terms then of the Tipperary camogie team, back out this weekend against the All-Ireland champions Cork at Páirc Uí Rinn. So, geez, that certainly won't be an easy game.
No, 12 o'clock on Saturday. I know that fixture had been made before the Tip Hurlers game was moved. I was sort of hoping maybe if there was some bit of dialogue that maybe they have moved that camogie match into Páirc Uí Chaoimh as a curtain raiser. I don't know whether there's any late hopes of that happening. It would be handy for me. But I suppose, look, after beating Galway, it was a great response to the defeat to Waterford. Now you're going into the home of the All-Ireland champions, and I suppose they're the best team in the country, and I think Dennis Kelly will be really licking his lips in terms of getting these group of players out there and seeing, like, where they stand against Cork. I know he was probably hoping to get I don't think the game might come a little soon for Karen Kennedy, but I think he'd be hoping to see that this team build on further and work on the positives from the Galway game. Like you have, and looks like a very competitive race for like Cork have 2 wins from 2. Then you have 4 counties on 1 win each and Clare at the bottom. So like you think if Tipper to get anything out of this game, they'd be in decent shape maybe to get to a league final. Like so. But I think
Tip won a challenge match against Maurice and Borris Lee as well.
So like you'd have to think Tip will be going down there. There'll be nothing to fear. They'll relish in the challenge. And look, I wouldn't put it past them to go down there and get a result. Absolutely not.
Yeah, and then the minors, of course, beat Kilkenny the other day as well.
Yeah, great start for them, beating Kilkenny in Kilcommon, first round of the championship. Good response by probably a lot of the girls who were on the Ursuline team that lost to Loreto in the colleges final a week before. Like there would have been a lot of players doubling up from both schools, and that it was a good sign for Tipperary that there's a good bit of depth within the county at minor level. And look, tests keep coming. Like they're away to Galway next Sunday. I don't think there's a venue yet for that game. But like Galway, always good at underage level at camogie, so I'm sure the challenges will be coming thick and fast there. And as was mentioned, the junior camogie team, they're in Kilkenny on Saturday. If they win that game, they're into a league final in Division 2, which would be great. Like if they're to maybe win a league and maybe get up to a higher division for next year, which would be great for our second team.
And by the way, the Nenagh Guardian is in stores now. Huge amount of stuff there covering Tipperary, Nenagh CBS, and of course Charlene Maudsley at the World Finals as well, which was
and just was
thrilling to watch the other day.
Oh, it was like Jesus. You see how the ridiculousness of the offence she was disqualified for. I'd nearly be ashamed to be the Austrian coach who decided he was going to appeal this. Like it's just like when you see all the other things that went on over the weekend and there was no appeals made, it just got on with it. And just to remark on that, you probably saw it on that back page blurb. Laker Gale tomorrow night is Ciara Gaynor, Tips great centre back on that dominant camogie team from 99 to 04. She's on Laker Gale tomorrow night. So like it's a brilliant series. I was watching Pat Critchley's one last week. I knew nothing about the Paul Mulhare incident. It's like Jesus, so sad. And
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah. Do you know what? And the one thing I got out of it, like, geez, there was made some lovely jerseys back in the 80s. If anybody from Laois is watching Laois, will you go back to wearing the blue shorts instead of the white shorts? And put the goal, like, just some Laois had there's great style about what they made jerseys and some of the muck they're making at the moment. Let's just go back to basics, like, please.
What about the era during the noughties when the jerseys were huge and baggy?
Remember the Connolly ones? Like, Jesus, they were full of cotton. By jeez, you'd be sweating after 10 minutes. Like, so. I bet the old Finch's one.
Yeah, it's still top of the lot.
It's the top one.
The Tip Ladies footballers came up short at the weekend, 1-7 to 1-6 against Westmeath. So
that's the promotion. Promotion is done. Yeah, I think their league final is already set. Kildare and Tyrone, so just shows you how far ahead they've been. But then you look, Tip lost by a point to Tyrone and lost by a point to Westmeath. 2 games. Just listening to Tony Smith, the selector, saying they should have won. Like, so just they're struggling to score. Like, they only scored 1-6 last week with Aisling Maloney. I don't know whether it's their system of play that they're maybe focusing on defense or what, but they're not putting an awful lot of scores on the board in these games, and it's hard to win matches doing that. I think they only scored 7 against Kildare. They scored 1-4 in the win over Cavan. 9 points in a defeat to Tyrone. I think they scored 2-8 against Laois. Like they're barely getting to 10 scores in a lot of games. Like it's hard to win matches. It puts an awful lot of pressure on the defense when you're not scoring heavily in matches.
Yeah, I know the way. Anything else you want to touch on before we finish up?
I don't think so. Yeah, sure. Yeah, looking forward to some. If the weather holds fine, a good bit of hurling this weekend. Some good games now. Waterford, Clare, Kilkenny, like so.
Yeah, Watford, Wexford, Clare, Offaly, Cork, Galway, Dublin, Westmeath, Antrim are the other games at the top tier.
Yeah, I think if Westmeath were to beat Antrim, I wouldn't be surprised if Westmeath beat Dublin in the last game and Westmeath finished 4th. and could maybe stay in Division 1. Like I don't know. It's like there is the potential that Dublin could get a beating off Galway in Pearse Stadium on Sunday. Like,
well, if anyone's going to know how to set up against Galway, it will be Micheál Donoghue. And like, to be fair, the Dubs are getting a few of their players back, and you know, I know everyone's kind of fairly pessimistic about them, but throw in Paddy Doyle, Owen O'Donnell, give Donald Burke another game, give Chris Crummy another game. I definitely know there's someone else I'm not even factoring in there as well. They're not as bad as it has looked.
No. I had the Liam Donoghue factor comes into it, but I just, unlike maybe the Dalo years, there's I wouldn't say there's a defeatist attitude, but there's no. I wouldn't say there's no life to Dublin. We're not, you know, you don't see where the upward swing is going to come. You sort of feel the potential, if you mean. They have good players, but not one that you can hang your hat on and say this guy is.
They're lacking an X factor.
They look a little stale at the moment. That's maybe the word I'm looking for.
They're just lacking an X factor, I would have said. A Con O'Callaghan or something, you know, that's just brings a bit of a spark to the whole game. Brings a bit of electricity to when a ball goes up the field and you're like, geez, something could happen here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's it for the show this week. We'll be back again next week, of course. So enjoy the next few days of sport, Shane. We'll chat at the far side of the weekend.
Good luck.